British Royal Air Force surveillance aircraft encountered a tense situation over the Black Sea after Russian fighter jets approached the aircraft during a monitoring mission, according to statements released by the British Ministry of Defense. Images published by the ministry appear to show Russian military aircraft flying at very close distance to the British Rivet Joint Reconnaissance aircraft while it operated in international airspace near the region. The incident reportedly took place last month and has already drawn renewed attention to the growing military pressure and aerial confrontations taking place around the Black Sea. British officials described the encounter as dangerous, saying the Russian aircraft maneuvered unusually close to the RAF plane during the operation. The released footage captured several moments where Russian fighter jets could be seen shadowing the British aircraft from short range, while both aircraft remained airborne over the sea. According to the British Ministry of Defense, the Rivet Joint aircraft was conducting a reconnaissance and surveillance mission when the Russian jets moved toward it. The ministry stressed that the RAF aircraft was operating lawfully and following international regulations at the time of the encounter. Officials also stated that the aircraft crew remained professional and continued managing the situation calmly throughout the operation. The Black Sea has increasingly become one of the most sensitive military regions in Europe since tensions between Russia and Western nations intensified over the past several years. Surveillance flights, naval patrols, and military exercises have become more frequent in the area, with NATO member states regularly conducting monitoring operations close to Russian-controlled regions. Moscow has repeatedly criticized those flights, arguing they threaten regional security and place military pressure near Russian territory. The images released by London appear to show the Russian fighter jets moving alongside the RAF aircraft at extremely close range. In several frames, the fighters could be seen positioning themselves near the reconnaissance aircraft while maintaining formation over the sea. British officials argued that such close aerial maneuvers increase the possibility of accidents or misunderstandings, especially in already tense military environments. The British government has not indicated whether the aircraft altered its route or ended the mission early following the encounter. However, defense officials emphasize that RAF crews are trained for these kinds of situations and regularly operate in contested or closely monitored airspaces around Europe and other strategic regions. Britain also repeated that its operations in international airspace are conducted within international law and remain part of wider security cooperation with NATO allies. The Russian government has not publicly issued a detailed response regarding the incident described by London. In previous similar situations, Moscow has often defended its fighter pilots by arguing that Russian aircraft are responding to foreign military activity near its borders. Russian officials have repeatedly said that Western reconnaissance flights near Russian territory are viewed as sensitive security matters requiring close monitoring. Military analysts say aerial encounters like this have become more common in recent years as both Russia and NATO continue expanding surveillance operations in areas considered strategically important. The Black Sea, in particular, remains a major focal point because of its location between Eastern Europe, Russia, Turkey, and several NATO member states. The region is also considered critical for naval movement, intelligence gathering, and regional defense planning. The aircraft involved in the incident, the RAF Rivet Joint, is known for its advanced intelligence and surveillance capabilities. The aircraft is designed to collect electronic signals and monitor military communications and radar activity. Britain has used the platform extensively in missions linked to regional security monitoring and allied operations. Because of its intelligence role, Rivet Joint flights often attract attention from nearby military forces operating in the region. The British Ministry of Defense released the footage to publicly demonstrate the nature of the encounter and underline concerns over the behavior of the Russian fighters. Officials in London suggested the close approach created unnecessary risk during an already tense geopolitical period. Defense observers noted that public release of such footage is often intended to send diplomatic and strategic messages while also documenting military interactions. The footage itself showed multiple sequences of the Russian fighter aircraft approaching from different angles while remaining close to the RAF plane. At several moments, the fighters appeared only a short distance away from the reconnaissance aircraft. Aviation experts often warn that these kinds of encounters require precise communication and careful maneuvering, because even small miscalculations in the air can quickly escalate into serious incidents. The situation has also renewed debate within Europe about military transparency and rules governing aerial operations over international waters. NATO countries have consistently argued that reconnaissance flights in international airspace are lawful and necessary for monitoring regional developments. Russia, however, has frequently described such missions as provocative, particularly when they occur near areas considered strategically sensitive by Moscow. British defense officials did not accuse the Russian aircraft of direct physical contact or aggressive action beyond the close interception itself. However, the use of the term dangerously intercepted by the ministry reflected concerns about the proximity and operational conduct of the Russian fighters during the encounter. Analysts say wording used in official military statements is often carefully chosen to reflect both operational assessment and diplomatic messaging. The Black Sea has witnessed several military standoffs involving aircraft and naval forces from different countries in recent years. Encounters between NATO aircraft and Russian fighters have periodically occurred during surveillance missions, patrol flights, and military exercises. These situations often attract international attention because they highlight the fragile balance between deterrence operations and the risk of unintended escalation. Britain has continued participating in NATO operations aimed at supporting allies in Eastern Europe and monitoring regional developments around the Black Sea. British aircraft, naval vessels, and military personnel regularly take part in multinational exercises and patrol missions coordinated with allied countries. London has repeatedly stated that these operations are defensive and intended to maintain regional stability. Russia, meanwhile, has consistently increased its military presence around the Black Sea since tensions with the West escalated. Moscow considers the region strategically vital for national defense and maritime security. Russian fighter aircraft and air defense systems are heavily active in the area, particularly around Crimea and nearby waters. The release of the footage comes at a time when relations between Russia and Western nations remain under significant strain. Diplomatic communication between both sides continues, but military encounters in the air and at sea remain sensitive flashpoints. Analysts say even routine monitoring missions can quickly become politically charged when aircraft from rival powers operate near one another. Defense experts also point out that surveillance flights are a common part of modern military strategy. Nations regularly gather intelligence about regional military activity, radar systems, and communications in order to assess potential security developments. However, these missions often lead to interceptions by nearby air forces seeking to monitor or challenge foreign aircraft approaching sensitive areas. British officials stressed that the RAF crew handled the encounter professionally and safely, despite the pressure of the situation. Military aviation crews operating in contested regions undergo extensive preparation for interception scenarios and communication procedures designed to reduce misunderstandings. Even so, defense specialists warn that repeated close encounters can increase overall regional tension over time. The incident is likely to remain part of broader discussions within NATO about military coordination and operational safety in contested airspace. Western officials have repeatedly called for professional conduct and communication during aerial encounters to avoid unintended escalation. Similar calls have also been made in previous incidents involving aircraft from the United States, Britain, and other NATO countries. Observers say the public release of the footage also reflects the growing importance of information strategy in modern geopolitical competition. Governments increasingly use images, video, and official statements to shape international narratives and reinforce their positions during military or diplomatic disputes. The British Ministry of Defence's decision to release the footage appears aimed at highlighting concerns about Russian aerial behavior while reassuring allies about ongoing operations. Despite the tense nature of the encounter, there were no reports of injuries or operational damage connected to the incident. The British aircraft reportedly completed its mission safely and returned without major complications. However, the images and official statements surrounding the encounter have once again placed attention on the fragile military environment around the Black Sea. International security experts continue warning that increased military activity in crowded strategic regions raises the possibility of accidental incidents. Even when aircraft crews follow professional procedures, rapid aerial maneuvers and close-range operations leave little room for error. That is why many analysts continue urging stronger communication mechanisms between military powers operating in contested regions. The latest encounter also reflects the wider atmosphere of mistrust that continues shaping relations between Russia and Western countries. Surveillance flights, military exercises, and air interceptions have become symbols of broader geopolitical rivalry, with each side accusing the other of raising tensions. At the same time, both sides continue emphasizing that they are acting within international law and defending their security interests. For Britain, the incident demonstrates the continuing importance of reconnaissance operations in monitoring developments across Eastern Europe and nearby strategic waters. For Russia, the presence of NATO-linked aircraft near sensitive regions remains a persistent concern, requiring military response. As both sides continue maintaining strong military activity around the Black Sea, similar encounters may remain a regular feature of the region's security environment. The footage released by London has already circulated widely across international media and defense communities, drawing renewed focus on military interactions between Russia and NATO aircraft. Analysts believe the images are significant not only because of the close proximity shown in the footage, but also because they illustrate how quickly routine surveillance operations can become politically sensitive events. While diplomatic channels between Moscow and Western capitals remain active, military encounters in the air continue to serve as reminders of the fragile security balance surrounding the Black Sea. Officials from multiple countries have repeatedly emphasized the importance of avoiding miscalculation, especially when aircraft from rival military alliances operate close to one another. As tensions continue across multiple regions connected to European security, defense experts say professional communication and disciplined aerial operations remain essential to preventing incidents from escalating further. The latest Black Sea encounter may have ended without physical confrontation, but it has once again highlighted the deep strategic mistrust that continues shaping relations between Russia and the West.